Good afternoon and welcome to the Small Business Cheerleader podcast. I'm Nicola Willis from NW Marketing, the Small Business Cheerleader. I'm joined today by Emily Fogg from, basically Wild Owl Tuition, which has been in business just over a year. And we're going to talk about the three main points to consider when you're a startup and how to get your name out. How are you today?
Thanks, I'm great. How are you?
Good. I'm excited to dive deep into the startup realm because it is something I'm passionate about, working with startups to get their business out there. And I know you've gone through all of this in the last year. So we're going to dive deep into what worked for you and tips that you can give others that might be starting, either starting up a small business or going from side hustle to full-time small biz. Now, you have been and were a teacher for 14 years prior to starting your business, and you've worked with special needs kids before. So dive into that and let people know how you went from working as a teacher and then starting your own business.
So it was a long journey for me. When I was a student teacher, I did some tutoring and that was fun, a bit of a side hustle. And then I went into teaching, which I loved. But I'd always wanted to have my own business, and I'd always been in the back of my mind looking for an idea or an opportunity that I could potentially use in the future. So I went back to work after finishing my maternity leave in July 2021, and I just felt it was just so hard with a little baby going back to work, and I decided it was the right time to start my business. So being a teacher, I knew that there was lots of kids that really struggled with like getting a diagnosis and having that special intervention that not all schools can provide, especially one-on-one. And I knew that there were kids out there that weren't getting the help that they needed because there was nothing available in our local community. So that's why I started Wise Out, so that I can provide that learning intervention for kids who can't access it.
Yep. I love that because it's a passion. That's what most small businesses start out as, I believe. A startup is usually a passion that you find you want to either, make a difference in the world, bring a new service in, a new product. There's some reason deeper inside as to why you do what you do. And that's what you've just ultimately found when you wanted to go and start your own small business. You knew that there was a need there and you knew you had the skills that could help fill that need. And I love that. And we want to talk about the three main things that helped you in building that startup. Now, we're talking firstly about you joining the Chamber of Commerce. Now, a lot of people don't think about that to begin with, but it is a huge resource for startups. How did you find getting into that realm and how that worked for you and the avenues you took within that to help build your awareness of your business?
Yeah, so the idea first came to me when I set up Google My Business, and I looked at how I could kind of optimize that for my website. And one of the ideas was join your local Chamber of Commerce. So I was like, oh, okay. So I just Googled our local chamber and saw when their events were. And being a new startup, you could just go and attend an event or two for free and just try it out. So I just went along. Really open-minded, like I'll just go, give it a go, didn't have any expectations. And yeah, I found that really helpful. And then around that time that I decided to go see what it was all about, they had some business awards happening. So I actually ended up being nominated for an award and entering the award, and then I won. So winning the startup award was really good. I got lots of free advertising. I got lots of support and help from other members of the chamber, and it also is so good for credibility because tutoring is unregulated. So lots of people, if they've tried another service and it hasn't gone so well, they're really hesitant and untrusting. So being able to have that on my website and use that in all my promotion material really shows that I'm not, I am credible. So
yeah, it is. It's the trust, because people buy from people they trust and they buy from people they like. So if you can tick off one of those boxes, I think it's always a wonderful start. What did the award entail? Like, what was the nomination process like, and how was the writing up of the award submission? What were they chasing? What sort of information did they want?
So I went to, so once I was nominated, they had a information night. So I went along to that and I had to answer 5 different questions and you had to write 1,500 words on each question. So it was at the time when I remember sitting there going, oh, that's not much to write. That won't take long. And I remember spending a whole week of the school holidays just working on this application. It was, but it was really worth it. I had to talk about my business plan, lots of questions about my business plan, my customers and ideal clients, of what was different about my service and why it was important in our community. So you had 5 different questions to answer, and I wrote it myself, and then I sent it to my mum to proofread. Poor mum's been proofreading everything for the past year. And then I have a good friend who is a small business owner of Lyrical Infusion, and she's a fantastic writer. She does a lot of fringe shows, and I got her to edit it as well, and she did help me a lot with a critical eye. So
yeah, you need support. You need people in your corner. I know I've done that with marketing award submissions over the many years I've written them for various reasons. And I know last year or the year before, it was the Mumpreneur Awards. And I understand they give you questions to answer and you think, oh, that's fine. I remember sitting there for days, writing it, rewriting it, getting people to read it, going, does this make sense? Is this really what I do? But you know what it does? It actually makes you really assess the basics, which is what I work through with my clients in the startup phase. You know, what is your plan? What is your ideal client? Why do you do what you do? You know, what's your difference? Everything they're asking within that award submission is something that, is very important to building a business. So for you to know those answers and for you to get through that process shows that you do have a business that has a place, because you've done the work and they've obviously seen that. So that's amazing. So these are things that people forget are out there. There are other awards you can also be part of, like the Mumpreneur Award for women in business. There's a lot of female in business awards, and there's a lot of grants you can go for as well if you have a new idea or you have a new business concept that local councils and Chamber of Commerce can back you in. So I think it's a wonderful idea. And it's great that from Google My Business, you got through to that concept and then you ended up winning that award. So it just shows you how it was meant to be. But exploring that is definitely number one. Where can you find that support as a startup? And what does that look like for your business? So you found that support. So you're still obviously a member of the Chamber of Commerce and you utilize that as a support for your business now, even a year or so in?
Yeah, I still do. I try to get to as many of the events as I can. Sometimes a little bit difficult with my tutoring sessions clash, and also I've got a little girl who's 2 now, so
I mean, look, life gets in the way, but you did the main thing in the most critical period, which was trying to get your business out there so you could support and grow it over that year, which you've been able to do. And I think that that's a wonderful thing. So that's number one. If you're a startup or looking to create a business, try looking for your Chamber of Commerce first in your area. As you said, you can test them for free to see if it's a fit for you. And then you can join and try and attend events as they happen. I know I've done guest speaker at a number of the Swan Chamber of Commerce, and they have wonderful luncheons and events where they have guest speakers on a variety of topics and small businesses. So you can actually hear from other businesses, and a good networking chance to have a coffee and over lunch and talk to people and know that you're not alone in a lot of the business problems that we all go through, but that people can support you with resources, which I think is a wonderful thing. You can Google as much as you can, but sometimes in person and talking to people that have been there and done that is sometimes even better.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, the second one we wanted to talk about is your local council. Now, how did that come about and what resources or what avenues did you go into in that regard? So in startup phase, how did your council help?
So it was a bit of the same with that competition. It all kind of happened at the same time. So from going along to the local Chamber of Commerce meetings, I found out my local council also had a home-based business. support group. So once a fortnight they meet, and anyone who has a home-based business can go along, and every week they have a guest speaker or a different topic, and it's just to get together, you have coffee, have a chat about any successes and also anything you need help with. And it's really good. I've met some lovely people through there, and they also have let you know about other kind of classes and things that are going on as well. So
yeah, lots of support, because if you don't have access to a lot of that information, working from home can become very isolating. And like I said, you can Google a lot of things, but we forget that in-person interaction is really where most of the learning can come from, because real life experiences sometimes trump a lot of the things you can learn online. So to think that they've got that as an option from work from home businesses is amazing too. I think that these are underrated when it comes to, a lot of them are free to attend, aren't they? And the resources and guest speakers and then things like the Chamber of Commerce are very minimal when you cost, as opposed to, say, huge big programs you can be part of. So it doesn't have to be cost limiting is what I'm saying. You can get access to these things and start up your business, grow it quicker by making these connections, because people know people who know more people. And if you're someone that they trust, the word of mouth and referrals are more likely to be to hit home, aren't they? Everyone loves a referral. And that's why all the, we were talking before about the local Facebook pages. I know I always see people, I even did it for driving instructors for my 16-year-old. The first thing I did, instead of Googling, I just put up on the local Facebook group, who recommends who for driving instructors. And one person was recommended the most and had the best feedback. So I went straight there. So it's the new Google in a way. It's like the trusted word of the community. And, take it or leave it for what it is. Sometimes it's a pain, but you can definitely, if you have referrals, people are more than willing to shout your name for the rooftops on those pages. So the more that you can utilize these free, basically like the old newspaper, isn't it? This is your free version of getting your name out there. And I know that they have business promotion days, be it a Monday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, a lot of these local pages. I usually tell people to make a list of what those days are and have some content ready each week. What offer can you promote? Is there free value you can put out there? What can you put to get in front of those? Because some of those groups have, tens of thousands of people within them. Granted, not everyone's going to see them all the time, but the more you show up, the more likely you'll be top of mind if someone's looking for a tutor, if they're looking for a driving instructor. The more people see you, the more they'll think of you first. So that, and as you're saying, getting along to these local council and Chamber of Commerce events are wonderful. And the final point that you and I are a part of is female networking groups. If you're a female business owner, you and I have found a lot of support in that. Explain what it's been like for you, joining a female networking group filled with small business owners just like yourself.
So I've joined a few. I joined Business in Common, which is based where I live in Perth, and then I've just joined Fusion, and I've just done this Purpose and Profit Mastermind with Steph. And so that's been another networking opportunity. It's just amazing. It's just really lovely. I've met so many fantastic people, and they're so supportive, and it's really inspiring as well to see how other people are going in their different businesses and how they do it. And I find that women are really, really supportive of each other in small business, because we all know how hard it is and managing the juggle. And it's been really good. So different to working in a job with people, with colleagues. It's just totally different experience.
Yeah, it's a different conversation, isn't it? It's definitely a different conversation. And you tend to be more open because you know that they know what you're going through, and the tips and tricks and things that you can learn from somebody. What I love most about networking groups, be it Fusion or a group coaching program, been in both are wonderful for the support. So if you pop something up, I'm struggling with this, or, how do you do this? within 5 minutes, you've usually got 5 answers or a link to someone who can help you with it. And a lot of the support is in-house. If somebody they know within that group does that, that'll be the first point of call. And I think that that's where the Women Supporting Women is wonderful. Because we do tend to do that. So if somebody needs something done, they'll always recommend someone within the group, because it's about lifting women up, and it's usually community over competition, which I've found. I've had many marketing people on my podcast. It's definitely not about competition. It's about who has a passion in a certain area, and then making sure that that is brought to the forefront, because not everyone is created equal. So all marketing people are not the same, and everyone has a different thing. And you probably find that with tutors as well. Everyone has a different passion, and you love to support and grow those with special needs because you've had that in your history and you can see the benefits. You do that as well as normal tuition. So I think that's where definitely building a community has to build more confidence in your business, how you run it. Do you find that as well? Like you show up with a bit more confidence now that you've been part of all these programs and groups?
Yeah, I do. I definitely feel more confident in my ability as a business owner rather than, being just a teacher kind of thing. When I first started, you don't feel as confident to run the business side of things, but now knowing that you've got people to ask if you have a problem.
It's definitely showing up as an authority, and once you get that confidence, you're more likely to show up online with that authority, and you've got the backing of people to support you. Because if you just show up and no one's watching and no one's listening, and you sort of think, well, is anyone? And to know that you've got people that are like, hey, I saw that, or I saw this, because sometimes I've done many Instagram lives and thought I was just talking to nobody, and then finding out days later that somebody will message me, say, hey, that really had an impact, and I took away what you said, I implemented it, and it made a difference. And you're like, okay, so I'm not just talking to air. And the same with this podcast. It'll be years down the track, and I've had people actually listen to an episode and get in touch or comment. So it's knowing that you're having a greater impact than what you think you are at the time. And I think that comes about when you have that support network. It's like, hey, what you said was really good, or hey, I passed it on to a friend and now they're doing something with it. I think that allows you to keep going, because it is very lonely. And I mean, putting offers out is, a very vulnerable state for small business owners compared to, say, just doing a job. I shouldn't say just doing a job. A job is very important, and we've all done it. But in a small business, you're putting yourself out there as yourself, and you're making yourself very vulnerable as a startup to, will this work? Will this not work? Is there enough need for what it is I have? And am I good enough? That's always the imposter syndrome. And when you put out new offers, you will have that as well, that new imposter syndrome every time. I mean, I've been in business 15 years now, and the pivoting and the changing and it continues to happen, but you just know that you're making a difference in the end. And I think that's what keeps you going, because what is it, if it wasn't hard, everyone would be doing it. So every now and then we've got to step back, and I think that's what these networking groups do, allow you to step back, pat yourself on the back that you're surviving and you're still here for yourself a year and a bit afterwards, plus having a baby, plus having a business, plus having a life. Sometimes you just got to step back, and that's what networking groups are great. Good job. You're doing a good job. Keep going. And I think that support is what happens when you reach out for support. Now, what would you find, I'll throw you a curveball, has been the biggest learning over the last year since starting, or nearly 2 years since, you went into finished maternity leave? So you've come back, you've decided that you're going to go all in on yourself. So what's the biggest learning that you've taken away as a startup?
I think just to be consistent, even when, like you said, when you feel like nobody's listening, and, you do like a webinar and you have like 5 people show up and one of them's your mum, and you just think, oh, this is a big waste of time, to just keep going. Because just recently I've had people enroll for this term, and they're like, oh, I've been following you for 6 months on social media, and I've finally decided to book in. So a lot of these times I'm just thinking, oh, my post hasn't got many likes, or, nobody's kind of, this is a big waste of time, but it's not. And yeah, just to be consistent, keep showing up as people remember.
I love that so much. You're talking to the converted. I was actually going to do a theme of consistency next week on my socials, because we forget. I know that I put stuff up and I think, oh, I don't even know whether anyone's taking any of this in. I've been showing up for years, and I still think, every day I think, oh, is anyone really, am I talking to myself? And then I get a message from, past clients or clients, they'll just message me, say, hey, that really hit me today. That resonated. Thanks so much. And someone even said, you don't realize the impact you have. And you're like, okay, I'm going to keep going. You have one of those weeks where you're like, what am I even doing? God damn. And then you get that message and like, oh, just show up, Nicola. People are listening and they stalk. I've joined expensive coaching programs, just off a sales page after stalking for probably nearly 2 years.
Yeah.
And, not even engaging on the line, just watching, not because I'm not a liker or anything. I just watch and that I have to keep remembering, like you said, 6 months, a year later, people listen to a podcast episode, then they stalk you. Then I've had people who have done it within a week, found me, stalked me, downloaded the ebook, and then booked into the coaching program within 5 days.
Yeah.
So
it's so funny how it happens like that sometimes. Yeah,
it's the keep going. You'll find your tribe, your people, and remember that people stalk and you might not see them. And then all of a sudden they'll pop up. So don't give up. And I think that's the main thing. You're always making a difference. And if it's not working, fail fast. Don't take it on as a failure. Just fail fast. That didn't work. That's not aligned. What do I need? I dive down back with my clients and we go back to the foundations. Why am I doing what I'm doing? What's my why? What am I going to offer that's in line with that? Who needs that? How am I going to find them? Go back and do that work again. Go back to why you do what you do and really reassess your offers and how you can impact people. Just fail fast. It didn't work. Okay, you tried. It didn't work. Keep going. Don't wallow and don't give up, because we all know that the richest people in the world have all been bankrupt and failed many times. We know that, but we're harder on ourselves. I love that. I love the fact we're harder on ourselves. If, one program, gets like 2 people in or something, when we first put it out in our first year and we're like, oh my God, that's it. I'm over. It's all over. It's just, and then these people with multi-million-dollar things fail and they keep going. They don't sit there and wallow the facts. So I love that. That's wonderful. Okay. So where can people find you so that they can come and check you out online and figure out if there's a match for your programs?
So you can go to my website, which is wisehourtuition.com, or we're on Instagram. Same, just look up Wise Hour Tuition. On Instagram, we'll be there, and also on Facebook. So
love that. I love that. And
any of those in, you'll find us.
So there's, to review, there's things to look at if you're in startup phase, or even if you're not in startup phase, you're in pivot phase, which is what happened to me 3 years ago when COVID hit. Went from full consulting to, okay, consulting has been taken in-house due to lack of funds with COVID. What can I do now? Where can I pivot? And so that's where I found networking, small business, marketing, that sort of thing. So, it's about Chamber of Commerce is a wonderful resource, either as a guest speaker, if you have knowledge that can help, or as networking, attending events, a wonderful place to find new clients, or just learn and support from your local council. If there's anything that they have, resources for small business, work from home, startups, is always something to find at low cost point. And then networking groups, find your tribe, test them out. Some of them are not for you. Some of them you will just become raving fans of and can't tell people enough. They do become a bit like a cult, I must say. But that's in a good way. You feel accepted, you feel they'll listen to you, and you can't help but tell everyone else to join. And I think that's when you found your tribe. And I've done that with Fusion. And I know the Profit and Passion, the mastermind that you've been part of, I mean, that's a massive thing over here and everyone loves it. Again, because of feeling heard, seen, validated. And we all need that. So that's been a wonderful conversation. I think things, at least people can start exploring if they haven't already. So I appreciate you coming on today and talking about that, because hearing it from somebody who's just been through it is always so powerful. I mean, considering I was startup, 15 years ago, it's nice to know, what's out there now, what people are exploring when they're starting out. So thank you so much. It's been wonderful to chat. And
thank you for having me.
That's right. Yeah. Go check Emily out. Why's our tuition? Because if you have kids, and we're talking primary school age tuition, from years 1 to
we do
6,
from year 1 to 10.
Yeah.
And we specialise in helping kids with learning difficulties like dyslexia, ADHD, autism, but then all our programs work for anybody. So
perfect. So if you're obviously know of someone, or you are a mum struggling with kids in primary school age up to year 10 that have learning difficulties or just struggling, I've been there. I just got my eldest through year 12, and I think I needed a stiff drink because he was, school was a struggle. So I get it. Whereas my youngest, school is a breeze. So they're all different. So find help early. That's what I would say, if you possibly could. Just find help early, because it saves you when they get to year 11 and 12.
It does,
and you lose your mind. If you can find a good way to get them to learn, it's much easier. So go hit up Emily and find out what you need to know. Thank you so much. And I'll go follow you online now.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Bye.